Hello, we are the first group, Christian Giraldo, Jorge Rodriguez, and Laura Garcia. The mirage of our return to manufacturing greatness. Our activity consists in introduction, then we're going to see a video, explication, we're going to say some questions to help you to do a comments, and final the conclusions.
Okay. Item made outside of their communities. Simone Bolivar didn't change that, and neither did the American Declaration of Independence. You have electricity, Industrial Revolution. Blueberries in February, Industrial Revolution. You live somewhere other than a farm, Industrial Revolution. You drive a car, Industrial Revolution. You get 12 years of free formal education, Industrial Revolution. Your bed, your antibiotics, your toilet, your contraception, your tap water, your every waking and sleeping second, Industrial Revolution. Here's one simple statistic that sums it up. Before the Industrial Revolution, about 80% of the world's population was engaged in farming to keep itself and the other 20% of people from starving. Today, in the United States, less than 1% of people list their occupation as farming. I mean, we've come so far that we don't even have to farm flowers anymore. Stan, are these real, by the way? Can't tell if they're made out of foam or digital. So what happened? Technology. Here's my definition. The Industrial Revolution was an increase in production brought about by the use of machines and characterized by the use of new energy sources. Although this will soon get more complicated, for our purposes today, industrialization is not capitalism, although as we will see next week, it is connected to modern capitalism. And the Industrial Revolution began around 1750, and it occurred across most of the Earth, but it started in Europe, especially Britain. What happened? Well, let's go to the thought bubble. The innovations of the Industrial Revolution were intimately interconnected. Like, look for instance at the British textile industry. The invention of the flying shuttle by John Kay in 1733 dramatically increased the speed of weaving, which in turn created demand for yarn, which led to inventions like the spinning jenny and the water frame. Soon these processes were mechanized using water power until the steam engine came along to make flying shuttles really fly in these huge cotton mills. The most successful steam engine was built by Thomas, they didn't name anything after me, Newcomen, to clear water out of mines, and because water was cleared out of those mines, there was more coal to power more steam engines, which eventually led to the fancying up of the Newcomen steam engine by James I Got a Unit of Power and a University named after me Watt, whose engine made possible not only railroads and steamboats, but also ever more efficient cotton mills. And for the first time, chemicals other than stale urine, I wish I was kidding, were being used to bleach the cloth that people wore. The first of which was sulfuric acid, which was created in large quantities only thanks to lead-lined chambers, which would have been impossible without lead production rising dramatically right around 1750 in Britain, thanks to lead foundries powered by coal. And all these factors came together to make more yarn that could be spun and bleached faster and cheaper than ever before, a process that would eventually culminate in $18 Crash Course Mongol shirts available now at dftba.com. Thanks, Thought Bubble, for that shameless promotion of our beautiful, high-quality t-shirts, available now at dftba.com. So the problem here is that with industrialization being so deeply interconnected, it's really difficult to figure out why it happened in Europe, especially Britain. And that question of why turns out to be one of the most contentious discussions in world history today. For instance, here are some Eurocentric reasons why industrialization might have happened first in Europe. There's the cultural superiority argument that basically holds that Europeans are just better and smarter than other people. Sometimes this is formulated as Europeans possessing superior rationality. By the way, you'll never guess where the people who make this argument tend to come from, unless you guess that they come from Europe. And then others argue that only Europe had the culture of science and invention that made the creation of these revolutionary technologies possible. Another argument is that freer political institutions encouraged innovation, and strong property rights created incentives for inventors. And finally, people often cite Europe's small population, because small populations require labor-saving inventions. Oh, it's time for the open letter?
In comparison with England, we have an example of California. Half a century ago, harvesting California 2.2 million tons of tomato for ketchup required as many as 45,000 workers. The mechanization of harvesting on the year 2000, only 5,000 harvest workers were employed in California to pick and sort what was by then a 12 million ton crop of tomatoes.
Here we can see the two differences. One is that they need a lot of people to take that production, and the second is only they need one machine and one people to take. So the difference is really so big, but they increase the production. So it's really good and really bad. It's really difficult to explain.
So another thing is that reduce the cost and the time. Now, manufacturing fizzles. Manufacturing powers the economic development of today's advanced nations. But in the developing world, industrial employment is peaking prematurely before poor countries have had a chance to get rich. So we can see in the graphic between 1950 and 1970, we have richest countries like Denmark, France, Japan, and we can see the cost of the manufacturing employment is very expensive and high. But then between 1970 and now today, we can see the poorest countries that is very reduced the cost of manufacturing employment. You can see, for example, in Brazil, and compared with France, is very big.
Okay, these days the battle to save American jobs has different flavor. It issues in Hillary Clinton promised to win the global competition for manufacturing, jobs and production. It lives in Donald Trump's call to break NAFTA and impose a 45% tariff against Chinese imports, and in Bernie Sanders' rallying cry against trade agreements. The loss of such jobs has created plenty from the problems in the United States for countless workers living in in less developed reaches for the world. Though it adds up a potential disaster.
Poorer countries have more limited options. If the demise of manufacturing jobs in the United States forced many workers into low-paid retail jobs, and imagine the challenge in a country like India, where factory employment has already topped out. So we can see the difference that, for example, in India is very. For example, in India, it's very cheap the manufacturing process and the forced workers. Yet income per person is only 1/25th of what it was in the United States at its peak. For that reason, for example, the United States or countries like that prefer to translate to another countries in where the forced workers is more cheap, like India.
So that country like Asia, Africa, and Latin America, the decline of manufacturing as a boundary, like a important job, and they put like mm, something like only the follow way for the other countries. So
That natural resource that dominate the exports of many poor countries don't have these features. They employ few workers and offer a little added value. And
The current transition from manufacturing to service. So the potential countries uh, like United States does have options like healthcare, education, and clean energy, just to the name a few. So they pass to manufacturing process to the services like education, um,
healthcare, something transportation like airplane, bus, or something like that.
For the same, we said at the last graphics, these countries prefer to concentrate on the service, and another countries that is very cheap the manufacturing process can do and can produce some goods. Now we're going to do some questions that help you to do comments for the activity. So the first one is, who is affected by industrialization? Who is benefit by industrialization? What policies should place the government on workers? And how do potential countries control about goods and services?
Okay, and finally the conclusions. The first is the major powers have stopped producing, so they changed it for service because it's most cheap to produce in other countries as India, China, Taiwan, and other countries. Previously, the second is previously the manufacture of a product was expensive because it was done manually with the passing of time. This has developed. Uh, okay, finally the conclusions. Okay, the first is the major power have stopped producing, so they changed the service because it is most cheap to produce in other countries as India, China, Taiwan, and other countries. The second is previously the manufacture of a product was expensive because it was done manually with the passing of time. These have developed improved production resulting in the cost optimization and increased large-scale production.
The third one, conclusion. The Industrial Revolution was a time of great imagination and progress. The inventions that allowed new products to be manufactured created a demand that caused a vicious cycle that propelled some people to prosperity while at the same time held people down in poverty.
And the fourth conclusion is the role of the government. Today, they have to regulation the industry and to protect especially the worker. And so the fourth conclusion is that the role of the government today is to regulate the industry and especially for to protect the workers. And finally, is the worker have to band together to improve to better way and working conditions. They have a confrontation because the owner they want to gain money, so they don't want to increase that way. And that's it. Thank you for the listen and have a good weekend.